You unlock this door. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound. A dimension of sight. A dimension of mind. You've just crossed over into
Common Sense Zone. Within the last 7 or 10 days, MSNBC placed a poll on their website, and they ask, give Obama a grade between A through F. A, B, C, D, F. Just like in school. When I took the poll, Obama was getting about 50% Fs and about 20% As. And I looked and it grew. It actually got up to like 60% F and 18% A's. And then suddenly someone pointed it out to me, said, hey, have you looked at this poll? The numbers are kind of skewed now, and they're changing rapidly. And I looked and it was 48% F and 31% A. So I thought, you know what? I wonder if either MSNBC's messing with these numbers, or you've got some loony lefties out there who have their computer set up so it votes and then erases the fact that they voted, votes again, and just had a loop running. So I started taking screenshots of it. Being the math kind of guy I am, I said I'm going to figure out how many of these votes coming in are A's and how many of them are F's. So over the next 3 days I tracked it, and here are the results. On March 12th at 3:12 Eastern Standard Time, I hope you'll hang with me through these because they get rather cumbersome, but listen to the numbers at the end. He had 229,621 total votes. Okay? And at that point it was 31% A, 48% F. Just 20 minutes later, there were 5,424 more votes. And out of those votes, 4,032 of them were A's, 263 were F's. And the shorter the time period that was taken between these, the greater chance of error. So I went out to 5:48, which was a little over 2 hours and 15 minutes from the previous one. And there were 35,255 votes given. Out of those, 24,797 of them were A's, 3,155 of them were F's. So that means 70% of the votes were A's, 9% were F's, which is in total disagreement with what the grades were previously, because as you saw, they were 31% A, 48% F. How does all of a sudden the general public change their mind that quickly in a matter of hours? So then I went out another hour. 11,485 votes were cast because I looked at the totals and saw how much they changed. Out of that, 7,067 were A's and 2,005 of them were F's, or 61% were A, 17% F. Then I went out to 8:49, which is roughly 2 hours later, another 15,155 votes cast. Out of those, 8,728 were A, 3,245 were F's, or 57% were A, 21% were F's. The next morning, 8:51 a.m., there were a total of 346,894 votes cast. So that means that there were 49,954 cast from my previous period. And out of that, to get 43% A's and 38% F's, that means 33,358 of them had to be A, 3,043 were F's. So basically what you have is 67% of them were A's, 26% of them were F's. Then I moved on for another not quite an hour. In that little short period of time, another 15,387 votes came in. Out of those, I could extrapolate that 67% were A's, and I couldn't really determine if any were cast for F because of errors in rounding caused by such a small sample. So I shot up to 11:30, roughly 2 hours later, another 30,986 votes cast. Out of those, 25,432 would have had to have been A's to give it a 47% A rating at that period. That means 82% of the votes cast were A's, and 3,289 were F's, or 11%. So, looks like the Obama's vote was really coming in then. Then you go to 8:30 that night. I just said, I'm going to let it go a while. 105,940 new votes had been tallied. Out of those, 74,752 were A's, which leads us to believe that 70% of them were A's. 11,399 were F's, or 11% of them. Skip to the next day, March 14th, 10:05 in the morning Eastern Time. Total vote count was 524,593. That means an additional 25,386 voted overnight. Out of those, 18,447 were A's, 7,362 were F's, or a total of 29% were F's, 72% were A's. And then I went to my last one, where I stopped taking data, 12:05 on the 15th. Another 56,048 had been cast. Out of that 56,048, 35,512 would have had to have been A's, which gave us 63% total votes. 10,448 were F's, which are 18% of the votes. And then if you look at the original number that I started with on March 12th, which was 229,621 votes. At that time, it was 31% Obama A, 48% Obama F. And now we have 580,641 votes, which means there were a total vote cast between March 12th at 3:12 in the afternoon to March 15th at 12:05 in the afternoon of 351,020 votes. And to get to where the percentages would have to change that much, if you do the math, 69% of the votes during that time period would have been A's, 52,361 would have been F's, or 15% of the total vote count. So originally, it went from 48% F's to 30% A in a matter of less than 3 days. It totally turned around to where Obama gets the high marks that he's getting. The only way that can occur is pure fraud. Pure fraudulent voting, either by MSNBC or some hacks out there. Now you'll see this number posted on the internet and on TV. Obama gets high grades. Obama gets, 60% A and only 20% F. Where in reality, it's a false number. Because if you think about it, the initial votes would have been people actually seeking the news. Before the story got old, before the vote got old. The people going on saying, what went on in the world today? Oh, there's a poll here. I'll vote F for Obama or A for Obama. And then after that, all the little Daily Coast websites got hold of it. Out it went when all these little bloggers that are liberal lefty kids and stuff sitting in their closets with nothing else to do, and they all started just voting like crazy for Obama so his numbers wouldn't be bad. But this is an example of how the media skews not only the truth, but skews reality so that we all start being the sheeple. We don't want to say we're not an A when 60% of the world's saying Obama gets an A now, do we?
Shit's getting way too complicated for me.
This is malarkey. This is outrageous.
I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.